we thought we'd spend a little time talking about engagement, which is probably not the best thing to do, but we're gonna do it for the camera anyway. And we thought what might be interesting is to talk about why we care. I mean, why do we care about it? And for us, and for myself personally, its roots started at a very young age, and I didn't realize that I'd end up being in this kind of work. But my father manufactured model airplanes, and I was the heir apparent of the family business. And so my father's management training program was to put me out in the factory with the supervisor for the summer, and that was it, you know. So I was in the hands of whoever for that summer. And what I really learned there, you know, I was doing factory work and I was doing line, you know, working on the line and stuff like that, is that most of what people talked about during the day was how work could be better, you know, and why do we have these stupid rules and all this sort of stuff. And then at the dinner table at night, I'd listen to my father about why they didn't get it, you know? So, you know, here I am, and I was sort of having that experience, but didn't realize what it was going to mean later in life. And so, I think what it does for me about our work and engagement is it's a way for me and together with Emily to make a difference in the world and to make a difference in work. Okay? And so I've sort of chosen that a way to make a difference is to affect people where they work. Okay? And you know, we had a brief little example here of what happens when you're engaged. Okay, you know, the energy goes up, the excitement goes up, you feel better about yourself, you feel better about what you're doing, and so, you know, given all the time that we spend at work, if we can make a little dent in that, if we can make some difference in the experience that people have, I think that translates to what happens back at home and how people treat their spouses and their kids and everything else. And if I'm in a situation where my humanness is discounted, you know, on an hourly and by minute basis, then when I go home, I bring some of that with me. But if I'm in a workplace where I feel like I count, I feel like my voice matters, I feel like I'm a human being, okay, then I think that makes a difference. Okay? And I come home a different person. I know just in my own work, when I feel really interested and excited and engaged in the work that I'm doing, you know, I think I'm a much nicer person to live with, you know. And when I'm not engaged and I'm complaining about that client or the work or the system or feeling like I don't count or that the work doesn't matter or all those things, I'm not a very pleasant person to live with. So I think it's you know, so for me, you know, Emily will talk about herself in a moment, but it's really a way to try and make the world a different place, a little better place. You know, it's a small scale, but I think it makes a difference. So that's.
I can't imagine anybody not enjoying what they do. And I think I get that because my dad was, let's see, he chose to be a lawyer, so he was a lawyer. His father died. He had to go in the family business to do the family. Was he happy? He wasn't as happy doing this. It was his duty, so he went and did his duty. But he wasn't as happy as he was when he was doing what he chose to do and follow his passion. I lived with that. I decided I wasn't going to do that. I was going to be a person who did what I liked to do, what I loved to do, no matter what, whatever the consequences, that was it. I wanted to like it. I wanted to live my passion. I think I've done that. I've had all kinds of strange jobs that I love, and I wanted that opportunity to be there for other people because I saw other people doing jobs that I can remember in college when we were studying, well, I remember particularly manufacturing. It was in a physical education course talking about people that turn knobs every day. You know, you go in a factory and you stand, and the only thing you do is you just turn that same little thing in the automobile company. And I thought, God, what in the world? How could you do that? What's that going to do to your body? Because at that point in time, I was thinking about bodies. So how do you do that? And what does it do? Well, guess what? It really screws your body up. And if you screw your body up, it screws up what? Your mind, your spirit, all of that stuff. So a lot of different reasons for me to be involved in people being able to, one, bring their brains to work, bring their bodies to work, and think about it, because the reality is it also makes us a better planet, a better humanity. And that's why I think it's important. Okay?
Good. So I thought the next part we'd talk about is why is engagement, what do we mean by engagement? You know, the word gets bandied about a lot. And our simple definition is that it's when you bring your wholehearted self to what needs to be done. Okay? So can I bring my wholehearted self to the task, whether it's my daily task, okay? Whether it's some new project or something that I might be working on in the organization, but how much of myself can I bring to it? Or another way to ask yourself the question is, what part of yourself do you have to leave behind at work? Okay? You know, what part of yourself is not present in your work that would be useful in your work? So for us, it's a simple kind of working definition about, you know, can I bring, when I'm engaged, am I bringing my wholehearted self into what needs to be done? And when you think about engagement, it's hard to be totally engaged all the time. Okay, so that there's an ebb and a flow to engagement. If you're totally engaged all the time, then what happens is you tend to burn out. Okay? So I think the important thing also to recognize is there's an ebb and flow to this. There's a time when I'm engaged, and there's a time when I'm disengaged, and often that time of disengagement is a time of renewal. Okay? So you know, you go, you take a walk, we take a break. You know, we do all those things to step away from whatever we're doing, and we come back renewed and energized.
I think another thing about engagement for me is that everybody gets a voice. If you think back to the pictures that Bill showed this morning, and one of the things that's going on now, not only in political arenas, but also in businesses, is that people want a voice in what's going on. Just because I have a voice doesn't mean what I say will happen, but at least I will be heard. And I think people want to be heard. So if we're going to change our organization, if we're going to redesign that, if I've got a good idea, I want to be heard. So engagement means that I can go and I can be heard, people will listen, perhaps something will happen, perhaps they'll tell me no, that we can't do that right now because of X, Y, and Z. But it's very important that people have the opportunity to be heard. At our table this morning, we were talking about some of the concepts around in South Africa, and believe me, I'm not an expert, but the possibility of nationalizing the mining industry. Well, yes, I wonder what that means to all the folks, and is there a conversation going on about that? I've got lots of thoughts about it, and I don't even live here. So, you know, those are the kind of things that people need to have a voice in and to talk about. So, voice is very important.
And if I know that my voice counts, then I'm engaged. Okay? If I know that my voice doesn't count, I disengage. It's as simple as that. Right? But when I do have voice, and my voice aligns with other people around a common purpose, okay, then that leads to cohesion. Okay? We become a group. We have a common purpose. We know our voice counts. That unleashes energy within that community, and that leads to action. So there's this way in which you move from voice to cohesion to action, all aligned around a common purpose. And that one of the things that we kind of believe is oftentimes that the purpose we strive for in organizations really isn't worthy of us. Okay? So it's about the mundane. It's about you know, meeting a budget or something like that. And so, you know, meeting a budget will not engage people. Okay, place to use my skills, to be challenged, to make a difference in the community that I'm working in. So you have to always ask yourself, in the work that you're doing, what difference will it make? You know, what's the difference that the work you make will be because this group of people got together to work on whatever you're working on. So there's this overall piece about compelling purpose, and a purpose that makes sense to you, that kind of captures your imagination, and then, you know, then is, do I have voice in achieving that purpose, and does my voice count? And then can we build a cohesive group that then leads to action? And part of what we're saying is that the how we go about things is probably more important than the what. Okay? And so when we talk about organization design, we talk about structures, and we talk about systems, but how those things are put together and the way in which people have voice and can see their own self in those issues really determines, we think, a large extent, the extent to which you'll be successful or not.
The thing I would add to that is that what we create, we own. If I don't have a part in the creation, I don't have a lot of ownership in that. If you want people to have ownership, then give them voice and let them help make it happen.
And just to talk on the other side of the coin, design does matter. Okay, design, the design of this room impacts our experience in this room. If you've been the lights, everything. Okay, you take something like an iPad. Okay, the design of the iPad, the experience of working with an iPad is a pleasurable experience. So it's an experience that engages you. There are other types of tablets or other computers that work functionally. They do the same stuff, but the experience is very different. So design matters. Organizations like Pixar, when they're creating movies, anybody in the organization, as they show the movie, and anybody in the organization can comment on that. Okay, so there's both the product, okay, and the process by which you achieve the product that really make a difference. And I think the last thing we talk about is about choice. Okay? And so people make a choice to engage with you. Okay? And I think this is a part that often gets lost on leaders, that there's a belief that if we set the systems right, if we set the structures right, that people will engage. And but engagement is not plug and play. Okay? You don't put people in one end and out comes engaged people. What you can do as a leader is you can create the conditions by which people might choose to join you. And that's about all you can do, because on the other side of the coin, people have to choose to join with what you're doing. So there's two basic choices. One on the leadership side, which is the choice to invite people in and to engage people in what needs to be done. And then on the other side, people have to decide whether they're going to join you or not. And once you get that, okay, that there's this choice that people make to join you or not, then the way you approach engagement shifts.